Hey guys and gal, welcome to the quick little tutorial for our 2017 Rapid City Rounders draft app. Really simple app here. I'm using a service called AppSheet to make my apps, and you can use this on any mobile device, iOS or Android, and you would also use it on your desktop, which is typically how I use most of my apps unless it's something that I'm using for work that I'm out in the field. But I digress. Very simple, guys. Open up the app. Attached to the email should be a link to install the app or open it up in the browser. If you want to install it on a mobile device, certainly wouldn't be a bad idea. Everyone could have the app running while we're at the draft. And then, of course, you can pick your keepers on your phone as well. You'll want to download the AppSheet app, and then from there you'll have access to our app. It's pretty autonomous, so if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask myself. Send me a message, but it should pretty much automatically kind of walk you through everything. Okay, so you'll open up the app, and then you're going to see it's going to open up to the 17 keepers, and this is where you're going to set your keepers. It is very, very simple, guys. You're going to see the team name and then the list of players that team has to choose from to keep. So this is your 2016 final rosters. It's going to black out or block out your ability to set any keepers that were kept last year as a keeper for this year. And you'll see that those players are in red. So even if it was a player that wasn't your keeper and you ended up picking that player up, it won't let you keep that player. So everything's going to be set up that way. For example, I'm going to be keeping Joey Bosa, Paul Perkins, and Michael Thomas. And just to show you how that is done, it's just click on the player. It's going to open up to this screen, and you just select yes or no. Okay. So I'll be keeping him. If I were to deselect it and go back, you'll notice that it's no longer highlighted. Okay. And then once you're done making all your changes, what you need to make sure you do is the sync button. If you don't hit sync, it won't save it. So it is the save button. Let me hit the save. Okay, so here we are. It does take a little bit of time to sync, but not too bad. I'm going to move over to the full screen. I just work from that view a little bit better. And there are obviously some differences between the mobile and the desktop. So again, it's going to open up to our keepers and go ahead and choose your keepers. Just really is that simple. Once you've made your keeper choices, then we'll go ahead and get them locked in before we do the draft. But right now we just need to know who everyone is keeping. The prices here are based on what a player was drafted for, okay, in last year's draft or auction. You can see those prices here, so they should correspond, okay? Or it was a player that wasn't drafted and was picked up off of the waivers. And in that case, if a player was not drafted, then their price is whatever that player was picked off of last off of the waivers. So if I picked someone up week 1 for, $5, and then in week 10 you picked them up for $50, the price is $50, not $10. Okay, so just so everyone understands that. For a great example is Justin here. He picked up Tyreek Hill for $252. Now he certainly can keep him, and I certainly hope that he does, but probably not very advantageous for him to make that decision. So just look down for your team, guys. Find the player that you think you want to keep at the value that you have to pay for him. Certainly double check the values, and if there's anything that's wrong, certainly let us know and we'll get it corrected. But very simple. You just go in there and hit yes, right? And then you hit the sync whenever you're ready to move on. Not too difficult. Let me know if you have any questions. And there's obviously a lot more to the app. But if you're just looking to learn how to do your keepers, you can stop listening right now. But now I'm going to go over just a few other things just to try to enlighten people on how we're going to be using this year. So it's going to be utilized as our draft app as well. As soon as we're done making the keepers, as I mentioned, I'm going to make some changes in the tabs that are here. And one of the main ones is that instead of these 3 tabs being here, it's going to be the offensive players, the defensive players, and the drafted players. Now I do have a button for breakdown. This is going to count, okay, this will be counting all of the players for us. So what you're looking at here is, well, I thought I had this broken down, and I'll get this fixed, but it should be broken down in order of and listed in order of the divisions, so we can keep the divisions together. But nonetheless, it's going to count automatically how many offensive players you have, which includes your quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, tight ends, and then your defensive players. Now it says 12 because that's the max amount of players we can have on offense, and it says 10 because that's a maximum amount of numbers that we can have on defense, with the only caveat being the kicker. So of course we'll be drafting 23 players. One of them, or 22 of them, can be your kicker. Actually, that wouldn't even work because you won't be able to have that many offensive players. But what I'm getting at here is that your kicker is not included in this 10 or 12. Your kicker can be counted as one of your 12 offensive players should you decide to draft an extra defensive player. So I think technically what it means is that you can have 11 defensive players if you wanted to, but you just can't have more than 12 on offense. And Justin, certainly correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think that's kind of the way that it works. And so it'll count how many players. So right now, if you remember, I only had Joey Bosa saved as a keeper, and it's showing him right now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and post my other keepers and show you how we'll be doing that. Now that I know what keepers I had, let me scroll up here and show you. I'm going to be keeping Bosa, Perkins, and Thomas, all for $1. And what we'll do is offense. So these are the offensive players. This is the pool, and then there are the defensive players. Now, I still have some work to do on the defensive guys of getting the images in there, but I'm liking what we got so far. A lot better than just the static profile pictures that we get from the draft apps from ESPN and Yahoo and whatnot. And I think they're a little bit more fun. You can click on a player, and then after someone, or once we begin bidding, when we're done with the bid, we just select the team that chose that player, okay, and put in the amount, and then we hit the sync, and it saves it. A second, I'm getting a phone call. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. And yes, as I was mentioning before, let me go ahead and just put my keepers in. I'll make it easier. So I'm going to keep Michael Thomas, right? And I get to keep him for $1. And then I'll pick my name. Now, I certainly can make this be automatic, guys. I could come in and just have it, push a button and it's keeper. But none of this stuff is it's not. Not rocket surgery, but it's not simple either, and I just didn't have the time to make it really that dynamic. But so we'll have to do a little bit of this manually. So basically, we're going to plug in our keepers the same as we would plug it in if we won them in the auction. Okay, so I have Michael Thomas done, and as you'll see, as soon as I chose Michael Thomas and selected him on my team, he's now no longer available in the pool. The other player that I want to keep is Perkins. I know he's pretty far down on the list here. Boom, 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 boom. Here he is. And Perkins, going to Jeremy, or to the All-Stars, I should say, for 1. And now you will see if you go, well, let me go ahead and sync it first. Okay, it's been synced. And now you'll notice that if you go to the club's division, which is the division that I'm in, you're going to see my players. And nobody else has their players plugged in yet, so that's why they're empty. But as we draft people through the draft, you're going to see these begin to fill. I do have them separated by color again, the same that's on the pool. When you see blue, you know it's a quarterback, green's a running back, yellow's a wide receiver, orange is a linebacker, purple's the defensive backs, and the light teal is going to be your defensive line. And just basically what you need to know is what division you're in, and you'll be able to see what division you're in by either looking at Yahoo or looking at this breakdown page. And again, I'll get this sorted to where it's actually grouped by the divisions.